patterns. So we're actually going to take a look at how patterns are graphed and what kind of information you can see from that. We've seen a lot of real world examples over the past few months. As I don't know about you, but if you go on a Twitter or Facebook or all of that stuff, you'll see all kinds of graphs about how many people are getting sick, how many people are getting well, how many people have died in this state, in that state, in this country, in that country, because graphing is an easy way to give a lot of information and to do some easy analysis. So we're going to stick with Maria and Jay, because last time we created the ordered pairs for Maria and Jay, and today we're going to graph the ordered pairs and we're going to take a look at what the graph tells us. So I've decided that I'm going to put both people on the same graph so that I can more easily compare them. So I'm going to do Maria first, and she is going to be red. So I'm gonna put this down. Here is my graph. Couple things I want you to notice about my graph that you only know when you go to create your own graph. First of all, on a line graph, which is what this is going to be, usually we find that time is going to be illustrated along the bottom. I have a label, it says weeks, okay? This is called a scale, what the numbers will be. To figure out the scale, I go to my data, okay? So if I go to my data and I see, once again, just to remind you, X and Y. If I look at X, I can see that X is 1 through 5. X is 1 through 5. So my scale for X probably should be 1 through 5. It shouldn't be 2, 4, 6, 8. It should be 1 through 5. And I can spread them out. So that's what I've decided to do for my scale along the x-axis. And I guess I should probably label them. That'd be good. For my y-axis, I'm going to graph my miles per week that each of these two people run. So to decide what kind of scale, once again, I go to my data and I look at it and I see, okay, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 4, 8, 12. So my lowest one is 2 and my highest one is 20. So my scale should go from 2 to 20. They're all even numbers, so it would be okay if I count by 2s. So that's where I came up with the scale for the miles per week along my y-axis. These are all decisions that I made. If I wanted to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could do that. I could do that. But what people who are creating the graphs, they look at the data and they create the scale, making decisions that the data leads them to. Now it's time to graph our ordered pairs for Miss Maria. So our first ordered pair is 1, 2. 1 being X, 2 being Y. It's going to be right about there. Now when you're using graph paper, you will have the lines. I don't have a graph whiteboard. I mean, I do, but it's at school and I'm not there. So we do the best with what we can. Okay, 2, 4, 2 weeks, 4 miles. 3, 6, 3 weeks, 6 miles. 4, 8, and 5, 10. Then, if we were creating this graph, we would use a ruler to connect our observations. And you could also say, you could extrapolate, guess. You could also say that it was at 0 weeks, Maria had done 0 miles and put a 0 at the origin, if you wished. I'm not going to use a ruler, I'm just gonna, there we go. So using this, you could actually say, well, it looks like if we went to week 6, it looks like, and you could read the graph and you would see that the line would continue and you could see that probably Maria would be running 12 miles. She's almost there. Okay, so that's what that tells us. So that's Maria. Next, we're going to look at Jay. And for Jay, we're going to use green. And we're going to do the same thing with Jay's ordered pairs. But this time, our first ordered pair is 1, 4. So we start at 1, 4. Now, some kids I've learned like to draw boxes here. That just makes your graph really messy. So I tend not to do that. 2, 8 is our next one. 2, 8. 3, 12. 4, 16. And 5, 20. Again, you use your ruler and you draw your straight line, straight-ish. That's why we use a ruler. And so Jay's run looks like that. Again, I can predict using this graph where Jay will be in week 6 or 7 or 8 by just reading the point off the graph. Now, there's lots of things you can do with this. First of all, you can tell that both students or both people are making progress. They're making great progress, both of them. But you can also see that Jay is making more progress than Maria. His graph is going up. But you can see that they are going up at about the same rate because they started at different, well, they both started at 0, but if you look at week 1, they started at different points. So you can do a lot with a graph. It tells you a lot more than just a bunch of numbers. Like, could you do that? Not as easily, not as easily. So you'll find, boys and girls, that graphs are used when there are lots and lots and lots of numbers and information that need to be shown to people in an illustrative or picture form. Graphs are great for that. For your